Alright, YouTube and Facebook. I want to share with you a picture of this man right here. His name is Gregg Giracs. This man works for a company. Their initials are IAP, Integrity Automotive Promotions. And what they do is they travel the country going to car lots who have leftover inventory that they need to get rid of. They call them bank liquidation sales. A lot of times they'll run a flyer in the mail to local residents, come try this key in this car, or scratch off this thing and you win, guaranteed win $25,000 or whatever. All of that's a gimmick to get you to come into the dealership. Now, this guy, in my opinion, is extra scumbally slimy because he makes his living just flat out lying to people. I mean, just bold faced lies. That's what he did to me. I'll go with some figures with you. I'm gonna tell you what he did. I came in there with a car that I was paying for. I had it over halfway paid off. And he talked me into getting into this newer car. I gave him my budget, told him exactly what I could afford. And what I could afford was roughly, we'll say $260 a month was the max that I could afford. Okay. So we were there for hours. He kept coming with numbers. I kept telling him, no, I can't do that. That's too much. I'm not going to do this deal. So then he come at me with this pitch. And he said, I'm going to give you this rebate check of $1,200. Okay. Your monthly payments are going to be $460 a month. But this rebate check will cover you and make up the $200 difference for 6 months. And then after 6 months, I personally guarantee you that we can get your loan refinanced down to that $260 a month payment that you can afford. So there's no risk to you. You're covered for 6 months. After 6 months, we're going to get your loan refinanced and you're going to be fine. You'll be good to go. And then, you agree to all this. And then I actually had Gregg Giracs tell me, my mother was there. She helped me co-sign for the loan. Actually told us, he says, now you're going to go into the finance office of the dealership. And they don't know about this deal that we made, that we got going on, that you're going to refinance the loan through me, because he says he works for a bank. He works for the banks and he can get the loans. He says, don't tell them about none of this because they're not going to want to lose the loan once you refinance. So if you tell them that what we're planning on doing, they're not going to go through with the deal. So you go in the finance office of the dealership, they draw up the contract. The numbers don't match the numbers that he gave you, obviously. But we didn't say nothing because that's what we were told to do. Well, guess what? We signed the contract. So this van I got is about $10,000 more than what I agreed to, the figures I agreed to with Gregg. With the vehicle itself, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great vehicle. It's just more than I can afford. I knew I couldn't afford it. And I'm making this video to warn you guys because at this point, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do. I'm locked into this contract for the next 6 years. But I'm hoping that you'll watch this video and just do something that I didn't do, that if I would have took 5 minutes to do it, it would have saved me a whole world of headache. So let's go over these figures I got written down here. This van that I'm stuck into now is roughly $35,000. Okay? My finance charge for my loan is roughly $8,000. So $8,000 is part of this $35,000 total. My APR is roughly 8%. So my payments are roughly $460 a month for 75 months. So I knew I couldn't afford that. I went in there and told the man I couldn't afford that. And this is what he promised me. After 6 months, my payments would drop to $260 a month because he was going to call the banks and refinance, and do whatever magic deal he's going to do. I mean, he even gave me his card with his phone number on it. He's like, you call me if you have any problems. We'll get it straightened out. Well, if I would have thought about it, what he was saying was mathematically impossible. So take the total price of the van, which with finance charge and everything is $35,000. Let's take away that $8,000 finance charge, which would make the loan a 0% APR. Basically, they're just selling me the van and I'm paying them principal and they're making no money off me on the loan. So we're still talking $27,000. Okay. So if I was to pay the $260 a month for my 75-month loan, like he said, that only come out to $19,500. Well, we're still missing $7,500 of the principal. Where's that going to go? Is the bank just going to say, oh, well, you know what? We're just not going to worry about this $7,500. We'll just throw it as a tax write-off or something. No, that's not going to happen. And even if I could get a 0% APR loan, which is impossible, the cheapest payment would be $360 a month. And you're never going to get a 0% APR loan from anybody. So, my hat's off to the scumball Gregg Giracs. I found people on Facebook. We're actually working on putting a group together, hoping we can get enough people together to open some kind of class action lawsuit on this guy. Because here's the problem. I've already been to the dealer. I already explained to him, showed him all this stuff that he was talking to me about, and pretty much I was told, well, we're sorry that happened to you, but you already signed the contract and we can't rewrite the contract. So it doesn't matter that Greg lied to you, because here's how it works. Because Greg doesn't work for the dealership. He is not part of the dealership. He is sent in by the banks, so he says, to get rid of these, to liquidate these assets. So he comes in, tells you whatever he's got to tell you to make you sign that paper. And then once you sign the paper, you're screwed. And even if you were to hire a lawyer and everything like that, it comes down to your word against his. And you're going to stand in front of a judge and say, well, Greg told me this, this, and this. And that's not what it is. And then the judge is probably going to look at you and say, well, if you just do the math on this, this, and this, you'd see what he was talking about was a bunch of crap. You should have never signed that paperwork. But basically, though, it doesn't matter because it's going to come down to a point of your word against his. And no court of law that I know is that doesn't matter. That's called hearsay. So you're screwed. So, I'm stuck paying for this thing for 6 years at $200 more a month than I can really afford. But I'm going to have to make it work. But I'm hoping that I can get the word out and you guys know, and I'm sure it's not just Gregg Giracs. He's a good one, but I'm sure there's more of them. Don't go to any bank liquidation loans. Or if you do, make sure you do the math. Don't let them fast talk you. That's what they did to me. They kept us there for we were there for a long time, 3 or 4 hours. And it was getting late. It was like 7 o'clock at night. And the place was getting ready to close down. And they're like, oh, we just got the papers done. Let's hurry up and get in there and get them signed without looking at anything. And took the man's word for it that he wasn't lying to me. So, yeah, I got burned. Got burned bad. But hopefully, you guys can watch this video and know what their tricks are and don't let it happen to you.